You think that you are the mind. The mind is nothing but thoughts. Behind every thought, there is a general thought, and that is the I. That is your assumed self. Let us call this I the first thought. Stick to this thought and question it. Find out what it is. When this question takes a strong hold of you, you cannot think of other thoughts. What happens when you make a serious quest for the self is that the I thought disappears, and something from the depths takes a hold of you. And that is not the I which commenced the quest. That is the real self, the import of I. It is not the ego. It is the Supreme Being itself. I do not say that you must go rejecting thoughts forever. Cling to yourself, to the I thought. When your interest keeps you to that single idea, other thoughts will get rejected, and they will vanish. Rejection of thoughts may only be necessary for a time. You think that there is no end if one goes on rejecting every thought as it rises. This is not so. There is an end. If you are vigilant and make a strong effort to reject every thought when it rises, you will soon find that you are going deeper and deeper into your own inner self. At that level, it is not necessary to make an effort to reject thoughts. Not only that, it is impossible for you to make any effort to a certain extent. Now it is impossible for you to be without effort. When you go deeper, it is impossible for you to make any effort. If the mind becomes inverted due to inquiry into the source of the I thought, the mental tendencies become extinct. The light of the self falls on the mental tendencies and produces the phenomena of reflection that we call the mind. Thus, when the mental tendencies become extinct, the mind also disappears, being absorbed into the light of the one reality, the heart. This is the sum and substance of all that a seeker needs to know. What is imperatively required of them is an earnest and one-pointed inquiry into the source of the I thought. The mind will subside only by means of inquiry. Who am I? The thought, who am I, destroying all other thoughts, will itself eventually be destroyed. Like the stick used for steering the campfire, which is ultimately also released into the fire. If other thoughts rise, one should, without trying to complete them, ask, to whom do they arise? What does it matter how many thoughts rise? At the very moment of their arising, if one vigilantly inquires, to whom did this thought rise? It will be known, to me. If one then inquires, who am I? The mind will turn back to its source, the self, and the thought which had risen will also subside. By repeatedly practicing this, the power of the mind to abide in its source increases. Although mental tendencies towards sense objects, which have been occurring for ages, rise in countless numbers like waves in the ocean, they will all perish as meditation on one's nature becomes more and more intense. Without giving room even to the doubting thought, is it really possible to destroy all these tendencies and to remain as self alone? One should persistently cling fast to self-attention. As long as there are tendencies towards sense objects in the mind, the inquiry, who am I, is necessary. As and when thoughts rise, one should destroy all of them through inquiry then and there in their very place of origin. Not attending to what is other is non-attachment or desirelessness. Not leaving self is knowledge. In truth, these two, desirelessness and knowledge, are one and the same. Just as a pearl diver, tying a stone to his waist, dives into the sea and takes the pearl from the bottom, so everyone diving deep into the self, with non-attachment, can attain the pearl of self. If one resorts uninterruptedly to the remembrance of one's real nature until one attains self, that alone will be enough. Inquiring, who am I that is in bondage, and knowing one's real nature alone is liberation. Always keeping the mind fixed in self alone is called self-inquiry, whereas meditation is thinking oneself to be the absolute, which is beingness, consciousness, bliss. Your current life of action need not be renounced. If you meditate on self for an hour or two every day, you can then carry on with your duties. If you meditate in the right manner, the way of inquiry, then the current of mind induced will continue to flow, even in the midst of your work. It is as if there are two ways of expressing the same idea. The same line which you take in self-inquiry meditation will be expressed in your activities. The results of doing that will be that you will find that your attitude towards people, events, and objects gradually changes. Your actions will tend to follow your meditations of their own accord. One should therefore surrender the personal selfishness which binds one to this world. Giving up the false self is the true renunciation. There is no conflict between work and wisdom. You ask if it's possible to continue the old activities of one's profession and also get enlightenment. Why not? But in that case, one will not think that it is the old personality which is doing the work, because one's consciousness will gradually become transferred until it is centered in that which is beyond the little self or I thought. Setting apart time for meditation is only for the merest spiritual novices. A person who is advancing will begin to enjoy the deeper serenity whether they are working or not. While their hands are in society, they keep their head cool in solitude. I have seen that the mystical seekers try to drive their minds to the goal, as a herder tries to drive cattle with a stick. But on the direct path inquiry, the seeker coaxes the cattle by holding out a handful of grass. You have to ask yourself the question, who am I? The investigation will ultimately lead you to the discovery of something within you, which is behind the mind. Solve that great problem, and you will solve all other problems.